Well, Donnie, I've always loved Jeepsters. This is a 50 Jeepster, but I've never seen one quite like this one.
They didn't come stock this way.
This isn't factory, you're saying?
This isn't factory. The body, everything is factory, but the tires definitely would not have fit on it this way on a stock
It's
one.
up in the air a little bit,
yes.
too. So you built this, but you built this a long time ago. You started it when you were?
14 years old.
So like 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, as a 14-year-old, this was your vision, or how did this happen?
It wasn't really a vision, it was just what was there and what presented itself and ran with it.
What you had available to you, what came before you, right?
Yeah.
So what's the running gear?
So the running gear is from a 1978 Blazer.
Oh, okay.
My family had a 78 Blazer that was just our family vehicle.
Yeah.
And in 1983, when I was 13, it was rolled 2.5 times and totaled. The body was damaged, but the frame was still straight.
Oh, okay.
So we kept the frame, and a search was on then for me being a 14-year-old kid getting a vehicle that I'd be able to drive when I turned 16. So
I mean, did you have a Jeepster in mind, or?
Did not have a Jeepster in mind. I grew up in a little town called Ely, Nevada, really desolate, and outside of town, out hunting rabbits, riding motorcycles. This was sitting out there at the bottom of a...
Just out in a ravine, right?
In a ravine.
Out in a ditch.
And it'd been sitting there for quite some time, nearly 30 years. Just an abandoned vehicle.
But there's no, I mean, things don't rust there.
No, they don't rust, and this...
And there's a lot of metal in this, too.
The old metal was a lot more stout than it is today.
So was it pretty rust-free?
It was pretty rust-free.
Really?
You know, it wasn't too much work to get it back to look like this. Lots and lots of sanding. So with my dad, he worked for a propane plant. So he had the boom truck that lifts up the propane tanks.
Yeah.
So we went out, winched it up out of the ravine, took it back home. We pulled the body off of it, modified the frame. We had to move the engine and transmission back 9.5 inches to get it to fit inside of here, but
dimensionally, it actually worked pretty well on this, right?
Very, very well. There's a few of these have been done, and the Blazer frame and the old Wagoneer frame are typically put underneath the Willy's Jeepsters to make them a 4-wheel drive.
So now to me, this is a Willy's Jeepster. It's always been a Willy's Jeepster. Yep. But I tend to catch some flack when I say that, because the purists say, well, no, it's Willis. Yeah, well, whatever. It's a Willy's Jeepster, huh?
Out west, we've always called it a Willis.
Well, there you go. Then that's what it is.
You're talking to those guys back east. It might just be the accent.
It could be the accent. So a split windshield on. Were they all split windshields?
They're all stock. Everything on the body is totally stock as it was when it came from production. Like I said, the 2-wheel drive, it sat low.
Yeah.
Similar to this Ranchero, if not even a little lower. It was a beach cruiser. Came with a little Hurricane 6 engine in it.
Yeah, I mean, you even outfitted it with a winch. I mean, this thing just looks great.
Yes, and I use it. I go out rock crawling.
So this thing, this
clubs.
This ain't a show pony.
No, it's been used and abused.
And I respect that. So you kept the inside pretty Jeepster too, didn't you?
Yes, everything inside other than the seats. So literally pulled the steering column is out of the 78 Blazer.
Oh, okay, so your tilt and everything.
My tilt and everything, my brake pedal, gas pedal, those are out of the Blazer. Transfer case, it's full-time 4-wheel drive, turbo 350 transmission.
Oh, it's full-time 4-wheel?
Yes.
Wow, it's not screwing around.
But the dash is all original, that's how they came, other than the CD player.
Right.
And I added the other gauges because
they work.
Because they work. The original gauges were 6-volt.
LL Bean edition. Were these Ford seats or something?
This was out of a Subaru Outback.
Oh, no kidding.
So, like I said, I use it. I'll go out and do snow runs and stuff in the wintertime on snow trails, and wanted to have some nice heated seats. So
these are heated?
So these are heated and power seats. So
I can't
all the comfort factors.
All the comforts of home. Yeah. And so then, you know, what I noticed about this earlier on, when you get back here, it almost looked to me you know, you'd done some customization back here, and this was rolled and everything. But
Yeah.
that's actually, is that the stock
That's
shape?
the stock. So a lot
You just
of
don't see that when it's down so low.
correct. So stock, the back bumper came out like another 12 inches.
Yeah.
And there was a Continental kit, so your spare tire was back here, but it was this high off the ground instead of up here where you can't really see that feature.
So even this wasn't rusted?
No.
Wow.
There was a couple of rust spots on some of the quarter panels and a few holes here and there. Like I said, with my dad, I mean, this was a father-son project.
Yeah.
I mean, 14 years old, I'm not, this is what we're doing.
Okay.
It was dad showing me how to do stuff, learning
Yeah.
everything about stuff. So all of the holes and the rust that was there was pulled out and replaced with another metal, and everything's been brazed in with brass
Oh, that's interesting.
welding on it because
Wow.
it stuck to the metal better than the standard.
Wow. So you don't have the Hurricane 6 anymore, I'm assuming.
No, I do not.
Well, let's go have a look and see what you popped in there. So, well, obviously you use it, which is good.
I use
you
it.
Use
It's not all chromed up, but it is a workhorse. That, you know, the standard Chevy 350 that is put in so many vehicles.
Yeah, it is kind of the standard, isn't it?
Yep.
Is that an Offenhauser or what is it? What's
It's
your
an Offenhauser
Is it?
open port intake. And like I said, my dad was the manager of the propane plant in Ely, Nevada. So everything that we had ran on propane.
This runs on propane?
So this runs on straight
it
propane.
still runs on propane?
Still runs on propane. I have a 32-gallon tank in the back there underneath the top that I go to U-Haul to fill up or to barbecue, whatever. When I go on my trail runs and stuff,
Yeah.
I can only get about 200 miles out of a tank.
Okay.
So I'll bring my barbecue tank as my spare, and if I get low or run out, I just swap the barbecue tank in.
So you got a gas can? Well, no, but I got a,
Yes,
got
exactly.
a propane.
Yep.
Wow. So how does propane run? I mean, does this thing run pretty much like a...
It runs very, very well. It's a little bit more compression, but back in the 80s, you'd have a dual fuel, so you could run propane
No
and
kidding.
or gas, and you could flip the switch and it would just go from propane to
Wow.
gas. But we just went straight propane. Typically, you're going to lose about 10% of horsepower
Yeah.
just going straight across, but it does burn extremely clean. When I change the oil, it's just as clean as it was when I put the oil in.
Well, even being 10% down, this thing's still pumping out a lot more than Hurricane 6.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Came
is.
with it.
Yeah,
So this
I
thing is
can-
probably fairly unstoppable, I would think.
I've driven over some cars with it, and
Was that intentional?
that was
Or-
intentional.
Okay,
It
well,
was
that's
a
good.
little
That's good.
exhibition deal, but yeah, it's been an extremely fun project, and 14 to 18, a young boy can get in trouble.
Yeah. This kind of kept you out of trouble,
This
I bet?
literally kept me out of any kind of trouble because I was learning about engines. I was learning
Yeah.
about welding. I was learning about cars.
And I'm
Literally-
guessing you're never going to get rid of this.
No,
Never.
it's been with me. It's my, 14 to 18, you have your first girlfriends. Well,
This is it, right?
this was the first
Well, honey,
girlfriend.
We're
Yeah.
going to just stay together. Close it back up, Donnie. This thing is so cool.
Yeah.
And running on propane. Wow. So have you been to the Emmett Show before?
I've been out here years and years ago, and
Yeah?
this is not a typical turnout.
I mean, they're parking stuff out in the hinterlands right
Yes.
now because they're just still coming in.
Yes.
Well, I got to tell you, I've always loved the Jeepster. I love this one even more. 1950 Jeepster on a 78 Blazer, right?
That's correct.
Donnie, you're my hero.
Thank you. Thanks for
Way
coming
cool.
out.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
you bet.